Please be seated. If we have not met, my name is Carson. I am the pastor here at Riverside Presbyterian. It is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you as we gather together to celebrate the life, to celebrate the resurrection, to celebrate the ties that bind us all together as God's people, to be reminded of love, of life well lived, all of those amazing things that we get to celebrate today. And I would remind you that we are not just celebrating it in this moment. Immediately following the worship, there will be a luncheon in our fellowship hall. And the way you get there is you will go out the main doors and go to my left, your right, and it will be the first building you come to where we get to gather and celebrate grace and table fellowship and all of those wonderful things. We open today with Scripture. We start from the Old Testament, from Psalm 121, and it goes like this. I lift my eyes up to the hills, from where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot be moved. The Lord who keeps you will not slumber. The Lord who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. The Lord will keep your life. You're going out and you're coming in from this time and forevermore. Let's pray together. Almighty and eternal God, we gather together as your people and we sit before you. Each of us with our own thoughts, each of us with our own questions, each of us with our own needs, each one wanting to celebrate your hope, but not always sure how and not always sure if we are ready. And so we ask that you would hear us as we turn to you now. And as you listen, we ask that you would speak so that we might find comfort in you, in your presence, in your grace, in the reminder that you hold us ever so tightly in your arms. Let this time be a time of celebration. Let it be a time of life. Let it be a time just of enjoyment. Enjoyment in particular of a life incredibly well lived in your care. This we pray as you have taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Our opening hymn is number 306. If you are able and willing, let me invite you to stand and let's sing together. Please be seated. We start in Scripture and we turn again to Scripture. These, I hope, are familiar words, and let me invite Tyler to come now and offer them.
I'll be reading out of Psalms 23. It says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely your goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever."
And we turn to family again, this time to offer memories and celebrations and stories. And what that does is it reminds us that we are connected together through all of our stories because they are all tied together in one. Please.
Good morning. I'm Paula, the oldest, and come here, siblings. I have 2-inch heels on, but I'm also the shortest. So our family's so grateful that all of you have chosen to join us today in honor of our mother. There's a dinner blessing that Mom wrote and said during her later years when our families gathered during the holidays from Florida, California, and Minnesota. And it goes like this. They come from near, they come from far. They come by plane, they come by car, just to say, I love you. This little rhyme speaks to what Mom felt was most important in her life, cherishing relationships. Whether you were family, friends, neighbors, caregivers, or a more casual acquaintance, you were important to Mom, and you mattered. Throughout her life, Mom learned to cook and bake, learning from her mother and her older sister as a necessity on the farm to feed their large family, which included 5 brothers, and sometimes the hired help. As we grew up, Mom prepared home-cooked family meals every night, even though she worked full-time as a college professor. I remember the get-togethers she and our dad hosted to play cards and enjoy food and drink with friends and relatives, while the 3 of us were usually spying on them from somewhere in the house. When our parents retired to Cocoa Beach in the 80s, Mom just loved when visitors arrived, gathering people together in their home around a tasty home-cooked meal, not to mention the holidays when we all arrived. It was all about the relationships that she had with people in her life. Even these last few years, when vision loss challenged her independent cooking skills and she became more fatigued, she rarely passed up an opportunity to help in the kitchen. Tearing up the bread for this year's Thanksgiving turkey stuffing, helping and teaching others how to make her strawberry jam, mixing the ingredients for her key lime pie, and by the way, teaching her caregivers to do all of those things, all made her smile as much as she did when she shared the extras with her neighbors. Yes, she loved to eat good food, especially those desserts, just like her McDougal brothers and sisters. But it really was about sharing time with the people about whom she cared so deeply. As I'm saying all of this, I realize how much I'm really like my mother, and nothing could make me prouder. Mom, you've given the gift of yourself to all of us. Now it's our collective turn to say, we come from near, we come from far, we come by plane, and we come by car, just to say, we love you. Rest in peace, dear Mama.
Good morning. There were many things I would miss about my mom. Mom's love was a constant in our lives. It will be hard to adjust without her. She was so generous and helped me so much with her guidance. My sisters always had a plan what they wanted to do with their lives. Me, not so much. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. My mom guided me to the right road.
Hi, I'm Gail. My mom was my hero. She was my role model. I learned so much from her. The things I value today are things she valued in her life. She taught me how to be a good mom and have balance in my life. She taught me the importance of having faith, getting a good education, giving back to the world, valuing family and friends, and having fun. Mom lived her life with such happiness and such a positive outlook. She definitely knew how to have fun. She always saw the glass as half full rather than half empty. She followed Psalms 118:24. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. She valued family. She taught us to accept and respect each other's differences, although that didn't happen all the time when we were kids. But it appeared to work out pretty well. She would always say, if you don't have something nice to say, keep quiet. Once you hurt someone's feelings, you can't take back your words. She displayed compassion. She taught children to read, volunteered at the hospital, fed the homeless, collected money to purchase shoes for needy children in Brevard County, and so much more. She was even bundling up food for the needy at church several weeks before she passed away at age 97. If I was feeling sorry for myself, she would tell me to look around and see all the people that live life with much more challenges and heartbreak. She would remind me to count my blessings. She believed in doing the right thing. When she was in college, milk was being rationed during the wartime, but it was supposed to be served to students at meal times. She was raised on a dairy farm, so she loved her milk and her ice cream. Well, when she saw that it wasn't being offered, she snuck into the college typing lab and typed a letter to the governor of Pennsylvania, notifying him that the college wasn't following the guidelines. The president of the college assembled all the students into a large room and announced that the students who wrote the letter would be expelled from the college. Well, milk appeared on the tables the following day and thereafter. They never figured out it was her, and she graduated without being expelled. She was quite proud of that. She was so full of wisdom. One of my favorite things to do as an adult was to lie down next to her in bed and talk, share memories and stories. At the end of our conversations, I would say, "See you in the morning," and she would respond with, "If you're lucky." I would say, "Love you, Mom," and she would respond, "Love you much." She was so strong and displayed perseverance throughout her life. My mom became a widow in her early 60s. I was devastated at the loss of my husband 3 years ago, but I knew that my mom could relate and provide wisdom. I leaned heavily on my mom for advice and support, and she helped me get through the most difficult time of my life. She knew she was going to heaven. She was very confident with that. So now she can be reunited with my dad, my husband, her parents, her brothers and sisters, relatives and friends that departed earth before her. Now I can hear her whispering in my ear, "Enough of the mushy stuff." So I'll just finish with saying I'm going to try to live life like Mom did, and I thank God that I was blessed to be her daughter.
So there's always something amazing, and I find myself jealous when children are able to talk about their parents, because when I lost my father, I know I couldn't. And so thank you for those words, and thank you for those memories. There's something even cooler, though, when grandchildren talk about grandparents, because there is that different kind of relationship, and many of those ties and many of those lessons are the same, but they come across differently, and I would say in many ways even more special. We have the privilege today of hearing from Jean's grandchildren as well, and so let me invite y'all as y'all are ready to come and speak.
Jean, also known as our queen, had many different roles in life, including wife, mother, friend, volunteer, and as the best grandma and great-grandma, the reason why we're here. I'm Amy, this is Byron, and Lauren was going to be joining us later, but she's here, and Milo. And we're a few of Jean's grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Speaking on behalf of the grandkids, Grandma was a role model to us all. When we think of Grandma, intelligence, endless love, wit, and grit are just a few of the characteristics that we admired so deeply and will carry with us forever. Intelligence. Grandma was an intellectual force dominating the crossword puzzles and word scrambles before you finished your morning coffee. She was a teacher by trade and through her daily actions, as well as a stickler for proper grammar and setting the table correctly. Grandma was smart as a whip, a lifelong learner, and an example of the value of education. Endless love. Grandma loved deeply and showed her love through her actions and quality time together. She was constantly whipping something up in the kitchen and sharing her creations with all those around her, probably many of you. Also, Grandma was, and always will be, the only person to ever iron your bed sheets and underwear when you visited. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Wit. Grandma was quick, clever, and always kept you on your toes. She added liveliness and humor to gatherings and conversations, making them even more enjoyable and memorable. You were always bound to laugh and have a good time when spending time together. And grit. As a widow of 30-plus years, Rosie the Riveter, and former college professor, Grandma always set the bar high, persevered in the face of adversity, and demonstrated resilience. Grandma paved the way for women in society today with strength and class far ahead of her time. She also knew when she wanted to, in her words, sit in the back seat and wear beige. In a society with distractions, stimulation, and technology everywhere, spending time with Grandma was a reprieve. She was so present in her interactions, listened intently, and her warm spirit just filled the room with love. Spending time with Grandma just made you feel good. We miss her so much, and we cherish the time that we had together.
I'm Jean's favorite grandchild. At least on all the days of the week that end in Y. That's what she would tell me. Grandma is the best. Is, and not was, because she will live on forever and ever in our hearts. Sorry, I don't want to cry. It's going to happen, though. I don't think she would want us to cry more, but I do believe she would want us to laugh more. So we'll get there. Grandma Corn, the heart of a hero, the class, the sass and sting of a queen. Now, don't you give me any static. She used to say that. I loved it. With the wit and wisdom behind her eyes that will leave you in wonder. Her humor, hilarious. Her smile, soothing. And on behalf of all the grandkids, she is our hero. And we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. So I'm here to tell you of what she taught us. Live, laugh, love. We've all seen this reminder framed somewhere, where our grandma could be the one who coined the phrase, because she embodied it. Since we were young, she would tell us to go travel, to live life to the fullest. And whose grandma rides a camel at 80? Or whose grandma in their 80s goes tubing behind a boat? Whose grandma drives coast to coast with her best friend and walks the Golden Gate Bridge? Whose grandma renews their passport at 90? Okay. Whose grandma in their 90s does not talk about herself? Whose grandma corrects Lester Holt's grammar? Whose grandma calls up the golf course, not asking for a round of golf, but for 2 golf carts to be ready so she can show her grandkids the alligators? And whose grandmother, whose hero, will banter and laugh with you until you're both crying? Our grandma. whose grandma could teach you how to read a room and would lead in and tell you you're going to be all right. Ours. So, why don't we all wear our What Would Jean Do WWJD bracelets and take one breath, one step, and just be. So let's keep it simple. As she'd say, easy does it. Forever and always.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to get up here today and speak of the great respect and admiration I had and still have for my grandma. I'm also here to make sure Byron got off the microphone in a timely manner. Grandma was truly a remarkable woman. She was a woman of great wisdom and strength, who also provided love and comfort with the same tenacity. My son Milo loves coming to see his great-grandma Gigi. I'm grateful for all the family get-togethers Milo got to experience because of her. Let us be grateful for the full life she had and always celebrate her beautiful legacy. Thank you.
I told you, grandchildren stories are the best. We get to make our own stories and our own memories too. There was a time back in the day when we took pictures and printed them out. We even turned them into slideshows. They looked something like this.
Single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. When you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let some helping heart leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing. When you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you decide is a real and constant friction. I hope you dance alone. I hope you dance to look back on their years and wonder where those years have gone. I hope you still Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, dance. I hope you dance. I hope you
We return to Scripture. Again, we start in the Psalms. O Lord, you have searched me and you have known me, writes the psalmist. You know when I sit down and you know when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down. and you are acquainted with all my ways. It was you who formed me in my inward parts. It was you who knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and I am wonderfully made. In your book were written all the days that were formed for me, when none of them as yet existed. How weighty to me are your thoughts, O God, how vast is the sum of them. I try to count them, and they are more than the sand. I come to the end, and still I am with you. The Apostle Paul said this. He said, rejoice in the Lord always, and again I will say rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to everyone, because the Lord is near. Do not worry about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So how do you describe a person? How do you capture their essence? If we have any sense, we realize it's impossible because we can capture parts of it, but not the totality. For as long as we've known a person, we still only know parts of them and never the whole thing, even if we've known them all of our lives. Take Jean, for example. I had the privilege of knowing her for almost 3 years. I knew her long enough to feel like I knew her, but of course that's silly because she was 97 and a half. And so I only knew just a glimpse. I knew she was faithful. It would have been very easy for her not to be here. She had every excuse in the world, and she was here Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. I think it is safe to say she might have even been here more than I, because I get vacation and I take it, sure enough. She was not just faithful, she was committed. She knew what was going on and she participated. We packed boxes for kids so that they would have food when they went home for the weekend. And sure enough, she was there packing as well. It didn't make sense to me as much other than it was something we were doing as a congregation, but I didn't know it was what she had been doing all of her life, feeding kids and passing on knowledge and love and making sure that she was standing with them. She was funny. There's a lady in our church who was 97, and we were celebrating her birthday one Sunday, and it was all awesome, and everyone was fun, and it was exciting, and we were walking out after service, and the way it works is similar to a traditional church. I say the benediction and walk out to the front, and folks come out, shake my hand, and she goes, I am 97 too. And there was a pause, and then a smirk, and she said, and a half. Don't cheat me out of that little bit, boy, is what she was saying. But there was plenty I didn't know. I had no idea she was one of 8. That's insane. I had no idea she grew up on a dairy farm and liked it. Everyone I knew who grew up on a dairy farm couldn't wait to get off, and she liked it. I had no idea she was a Rosie the Riveter during World War II. How amazing is that? And how few of them are left, and how so much they need to be celebrated. I did not know she graduated college with honor. I didn't know she taught. I did not know she played golf, that she played bridge. I did not know the other groups with which she volunteered, Cape Canaveral Hospital, shoes for children who had need. What I did know is that she loved life. But I didn't know that it was a conscious choice. Life is short, she said. Love it. And she did. I say all those things to say there is so much about each of us if we can just peel back the onions. And I certainly wish I had, and so I say it selfishly because Time is short and relationships are precious. And gosh, how amazing would it have been to know these things and to hear these stories, especially riding a camel at 80 or tubing at 80. I'm 54 and I don't go tubing. It hurts too frickin' much. It's cool because I have a better idea. And so I am blessed in that, as I hope you feel as well. But the real reason is cool is this. Each story, each laugh, each tear, each memory reminds us that resurrection is real, and it's not just an end-of-life thing. It is a daily thing that happens every second of every day if we will open ourselves to it. Life is lived in a different way now for her, for y'all as a family, but that doesn't mean she's any less present. And it doesn't mean she's not shaping y'all and challenging y'all and dreaming and loving and working in and through y'all. May we who know her find comfort in that fact. And may we also hear the challenge within it, if nothing else, to continue to show respect and love. Life is short. May we, like she, enjoy it, because it is truly, truly a precious gift. Amen. Let's stand together and let's sing one more time. So much of the time, it's the little things that shape us, and it's the little things we remember, it's the little things we hold dear. And the beauty of that is this: what is little to one of us is huge to another, and often we don't even know. Perhaps it's just a smile, perhaps it's a hug, perhaps it's the time, perhaps it's lessons. I want to point out one to you, and I promise you, you are not aware of it. But it's a reminder that sometimes things just happen for a reason, and the Spirit just moves us collectively without us even knowing it. And so when Paula and Gail were talking about having the service, one of the things they said they would like to do is put rope down along the side because they didn't want folks to spread out. I said, can't do that in church, because this is a worship experience and people need to sit where they want and feel worshipful. And y'all did it on your own without even the need. Why was it important to them? Because of this. Family is close and it is tight. And by being together, we are celebrating those memories and celebrating that reality for Jean and her family. And we do it as we leave, too, because we go out in song and a bagpiper leads us to a table where we eat and we share and we celebrate the ties that bind us together. Go in peace. Go in joy, go in love, paying attention to the little lessons in life, because they are the ones that shape us into who we are. And thank God for those that are in your life, because they truly are a blessing. Amen.